The General Geekery Podcast presents Spooktober. Etch the logo in the glass.
Yeah, actually. We should etch something in the glass.
I mean, something is already etched in the glass.
I know,
We'll figure it out.
but it's like, what does it say?
I don't know.
It says, hold on. Brian loves Stephanie.
I don't know who either of those people are.
Where did you get this table from?
My cousin made it in a shop class back in like high school or something. He gifted it to us.
Does he know someone named Brian?
I don't know.
Does he love someone named Stephanie?
I don't know.
So
This is some weird shit that was never meant to be answered.
It's a question that can't be answered.
It sometimes keeps me awake at night.
Yeah. She's like, who is Stephanie?
Well, Stephanie is the name of one of my cousins, but I don't think
drives me mad.
Stephanie is the name of one of my cousins, but it's not related to this Stephanie. I can tell you that much. But anyway,
she is worthy of love, Donald.
it's true. I understand, but it's not the specific one that's etched in here.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
All right.
That is all I'm saying.
She'd be lucky to have Brian's love.
Well. I mean, she has love from another right now, and she has a love from another right now. Who we nicknamed the guy Ninja, and now they have a little baby ninja.
Oh,
That's how our family works. We're weird like that.
Baby ninjas.
Baby ninja.
What are we doing here, Donald?
We're here for the next edition of Spooktober.
Spooktober!
Let's move it!
Woo! Woo!
Welcome!
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen!
Woo!
Back to the General Geekery Podcast!
Woo!
Yes! The podcast where we love to geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all the enthusiasm in the world. Hannah is a werewolf confirmed. As always, this is Donald Kaczynski, your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, streamer by night. With me, as always, the Undertaker herself, artiste, dice slinger, and gamer, Hannah Kubiak.
Hi.
Indeed. and welcome back to the second edition of Spooktober.
Spooktober!
Yeah. Anyway, so, for this edition of Spooktober, I think it would be remiss if we did not talk about probably one of the most related names to horror. We need to talk about Stephen King.
I agree.
The master of horror stories, as he has been known, he has so many books that have been critically acclaimed masterpieces of horror suspense, and some have been turned into some of the greatest horror films ever made. And that's saying a lot.
Yep.
Like, my God. And knowing how big of a fan of film I am, there are a lot of quintessential ones that are must-sees for the horror department for Stephen King. He's done more films than just horror, but we're focusing on the horror films especially today. Not just the horror films, but the horror stories in general. So, I'm more versed with Stephen King in the film department. I started reading more of his novels since I entered college. I've read the likes of I've read through It, the original Shining, Doctor Sleep. Most recent one I read from him was Cujo.
Oh.
The rabies-infected dog.
Yeah.
Hannah, how familiar are you with Stephen King?
I know of him. I've seen some of the movie adaptations. I tried to read Cujo once when I was 12.
Oh.
Could not get through it. Not because I was scared. I just got bored.
That's fair.
And I read part of his autobiography called On Writing. It's about writing.
He has an interesting backstory. My God. Like I can just imagine the amount of stories alone that he created during his cocaine years. My God.
The cocaine years.
Cocaine!
The cocaine years!
Was it morphine or cocaine? It was cocaine, baby!
I was gonna say it was a cocktail, but...
Yeah.
Is that... What is it called?
What?
It's called like a... It's not a highball.
Describe it to me. I could probably...
It's a mixture of two different drugs, and it's called a something ball. It's not important. Continue.
Cue ball?
No.
Okay, interesting. Anyway, so obviously Stephen King has like influenced a lot in the realm of horror, from his books to award-winning movies and over-dramatically campy television miniseries.
Speedball.
Speedball, that's what it is. Okay. So, I figure for Spooktober we should probably talk about those Stephen King stories that have left a profound impact on us from his horror department. And I think we probably need to start off with probably the most memorable adaptation and book, The Shining.
Let's do it.
All right. So, obviously The Shining. One of the Stanley Kubrick film adaptation of The Shining is considered by many to be probably one of the best Stephen King story movies of all time. But it's also the one movie that Stephen King hates the most.
Yeah, why is that?
Basically because Kubrick took a lot of liberties from the novel, especially in the realm of the depiction of the main character that was being portrayed by Jack Nicholson.
Right.
He was supposed to be a lot more sympathetic in like the original story, but
yeah,
for Kubrick's adaptation, like there was like none of that in there, which honestly worked for that adaptation of the film.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Stanley Kubrick adaptation of The Shining is one of the most called back to movies of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of modern pop culture stuff relates back to that.
Come and play with us.
Come and play with us, Danny. The ballroom scene where Jack's having the drink. So, a little slow tonight, huh? And of course, the axe through the door and Jack Nicholson going, "Here's Johnny."
Yep.
Oh my god.
That's been
scaring the shit out of Shelley Duvall. My god.
Okay, there was something where like a lot of that stuff she didn't know was going to happen. Like,
yep.
Oh gosh.
That's the thing with like Kubrick.
Yeah.
Like he put a lot of his actors that he worked with through the ringer, especially on The Shining. Like continuously doing retake after retake after retake, just breaking the actors down so where it wasn't really them acting, but it was just the raw emotion. He terrified the hell out of Shelley Duvall constantly on set. And this is actually one of the more finer nuances on this one. The kid who played Danny in The Shining, Kubrick made absolutely sure that the kid never knew that he was in a horror film. That was like one of the fun aspects that I found about that. I'm like,
yeah, I think we talked about that in episode 2.
Yeah, we actually talked about this film a lot during like the second episode of this podcast.
Yeah, like almost a year ago.
It's been almost a year. Oh my god. I feel old. But it's okay. We'll move on with that later. Year anniversary coming soon. Probably at the end of Spooktober. We'll be fine. But anyway, back to this. Like again, and I rewatched the film again prior to us doing this episode, and I've probably seen this film like 6 times, 7 times, and I always find something new every single time. There is so much in this film that is just like. And honestly, the original book is just as crazy as well, but it has a bunch of different aspects to it as well compared to this one. Obviously, the Kubrick film took some liberties with certain stuff, but it was also kind of interesting looking at all of them now, mainly because now in the future, now that we know, there's a sequel to this.
Yes. I just watched the movie, actually.
You saw Dr. Sleep?
I saw Dr. Sleep a couple weeks ago.
All right, let's talk about Dr. Sleep.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. So, obviously, the film had to do different things compared to the book. Well, let's just talk about it. Dr. Sleep is basically a direct sequel to The Shining, and it follows grown-up Danny, that has taken on who is the titular Dr. Sleep, who's basically dealing with all these supernatural kinds of things, and has, my God, the book is great, and it actually has some nice callbacks to The Shining. The film had a little bit of a more interesting time to deal with it, mainly because it had to deal with the Kubrick continuity as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, there is that.
Because in the original story of The Shining, the hotel was destroyed. Dick Halloran actually, who was the one that taught Danny the Shining skill in the first place, who told him about it, survives in the original story. And actually became a father figure for Danny going into Dr. Sleep. So there was a lot, and obviously the Overlook Hotel is the final thing that happens in both versions. But in the film version of Dr. Sleep, the hotel's still standing. It's still there.
In the film of Dr. Sleep?
In the film.
Oh no, the film of The Shining, it's still standing.
Yeah, in the film of The Shining, it's still standing. It was never destroyed. Basically, the film ends with Jack dying in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Getting lost in the maze and freezing to death and becoming a part of the hotel. So when Mike Flanagan had to direct Dr. Sleep, he had to take not only aspects from the book, but also from the Kubrick continuity of The Shining to make this work.
Yeah.
It didn't all work, but it tied together really damn well.
Yeah.
For what they got.
I'm also just a big fan of Ewan McGregor.
Oh,
so.
Yes.
And Rebecca Ferguson is fabulous.
They had a really good cast for that film.
I loved her aesthetic, everything that she wore in that movie. I was like, oh my gosh, I would totally wear that and live in a trailer and have my little meditation nook up on top of the trailer. Oh man, I would love that.
Comparing the Dr. Sleep movie to the Shining movie, the Shining movie is obviously more Kubrick than Stephen King. The Dr. Sleep one, it's King over the topness at some of its finest.
Yeah.
That's the thing we got to understand with Stephen King films. Campy over the topness is just basically what you come for. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what happens. And Dr. Sleep pulls that off really well. It's probably one of the best recent Stephen King stories.
Yep.
Because a lot of the good Stephen King stories usually come from the 80s, 90s, 70s, all that stuff. And Dr. Sleep is a fairly recent novel, though.
Yeah.
He actually wrote that with his son, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Let me actually look that up. So, yeah. Dr. Sleep is a really good, recent example that I love.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other Stephen King adaptations I've seen. I've seen Misery.
That was actually going to be my next one.
Yeah?
That was...
Oh.
Okay.
Well, when we're done talking about Dr. Sleep, we can talk about Misery.
Yep, Dr. Sleep was written and released in 2013. So this decade.
Yeah.
So, now we get to talk about probably my favorite Stephen King story. This was not really a favorite of mine, back when I was a teenager or anything like that, but after rewatching it and reading the story, I love this film to death. Misery. Oh my god. Probably the most relevant today horror film from Stephen King's library, all about fandom and obsession.
Yep. Oh man, it made me terrified to be a writer, honestly.
The film that made Kathy Bates a household name and star.
Bates, she's amazing.
The film that gave her an Academy Award for Best Actor.
Yeah.
And she deserved it. My God. Annie Wilkes is one of the most terrifying performances and characters I have ever seen on film. My God, she ratchets that up.
Oh, man. Yeah, she's great.
And the thing is, it's it's just suspense all the way through. It's not jump scares or anything like that. It's just the suspense of the atmosphere. Just, oh.
Mm-hmm. What about the hobbling? Like,
all the hobbling from Khan. Oh my god. The scene that terrifies me most in that movie is when she has him tied up on the bed with the wooden planks, and she brings out the sledgehammer. I'm like, oh god, please no, please no, please no. And then she does it. I'm like,
ah! That's the worst. Wasn't it something different in the book?
I think so.
They changed it to hobbling in the movie.
Let me see. I'll look into that.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, that freaked me out, and then also the fact that he wrote that entire manuscript for her and then threw it in the fire. I was just, I was just like, as a writer, I was like, ah.
And I think another big one was like the fact that he was working on a new thing that he was really excited about, and she forced him to burn it.
Yeah.
Like, for us as artists, like that's like a big thing.
Like when I forget to save my document before I close it, like my manuscript or whatever I'm writing,
yeah,
that's just the it clutches your heart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh. And just the suspense of it, like when he's like wheeling around in his wheelchair in her house, and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, when is she gonna get back? And he's like,
okay, I figured it out. In the original book, she basically amputated his foot with an axe.
She amputated his foot
and cauterized the wound with a blowtorch.
Ooh.
So that was in the book.
Ew. Wait, 1 foot or both feet?
I think it was only 1 foot.
Oh.
Let me double check that. Let me double check that.
'Cause that would.
Yeah, just 1 foot.
If you cut off someone's feet, it'd be pretty hard for them to get away. Definitely. Oh man.
Oh, she even cut off one of his thumbs with an electric knife at one point in the book.
Why?
He's
a writer. He needs his thumbs.
Yeah, like this. Like my god, this story is probably one of the most needed cautionary tales with like the thing that comes with like fame and like celebrity. Like if you do stuff for yourself, like the fans, like the reaction of the fans, and like the fans. Like cautionary tale, like being too overreactive, because we have seen so many examples of this, like in the past, like in terms of celebrity and fandoms and everything like that. Like my god,
well, like way back when Arthur Conan Doyle was writing Sherlock Holmes, and then he wrote the Reichenbach. Story.
To kill him off.
To kill him off. And there was public outcry in the streets because of it.
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted to not have to write these detective stories anymore.
And then he followed that off with probably like one of the most famous Sherlock Holmes stories, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
The Baskervilles, yeah.
The most famous story of Sherlock Holmes.
Yep. Oh man.
My god.
Pretty good. Yeah. What else? What else have people created that just... Well, Slender Man, people got way too into that.
We saw how that happened. But even with with some like very notable like Twitch streamers, like there have been some like very weird stuff that have happened. Like people have actually called in like police raids on some Twitch streamers.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Did they do something weird on stream?
It's kind of like it's like when people like do like competitive stuff like Call of Duty or something like that, and like some like there have been a couple examples of that. Like police will just raid the office because apparently they got like some kind of like inkling of like a bomb threat or something like that.
Oh,
it's weird, especially in this digital age right now where people have so much more access to like everything, and like basically anybody can become a sensation with like a controller and a camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all that.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be talented. You just have to know how to get.
It's what happens. It's what happens when like fan obsession goes too far. Which honestly, I love Misery for that, just because it's one of those real life like horrors.
Yeah. There's no creepy creature. It's just.
Yeah.
It's just a person with a little bit of obsession about something.
And that's honestly why I believe it's so damn effective. And I love it for that. And then, of course, like, okay, how can we talk about Stephen King horror without mentioning It?
Mentioning what?
It.
What? But what is it?
It is it.
It is?
Yes, it is it.
It is? It is it?
It is it.
Gotcha.
Let's
talk about it.
Let's talk about it. you know how many people do that damn joke.
I know.
It's so great.
Not even funny anymore.
I still think it's funny. Stephen King's It. One of the most famous stories from him, with one of the most campy characters of all time, Pennywise the Clown, more commonly, historically, amazingly portrayed by frickin' Tim Curry in the 1990 miniseries. Love you, Tim. And, yeah. My God, this story is so much. Because it takes place over 27 years, between two different time periods.
Oh my gosh.
So for those who are not familiar with the story of It...
Like me.
Basically, Pennywise the Clown is, a entity that basically terrorizes the children of Derry, Maine. He wakes up once every 27 years, I believe, in order to, feed on the children. And, basically, that's basically the basic synopsis of it. There's more to it than this, because there's so much in this that is basically one of the bases for the Stephen King universe. What the fuck is up with that turtle? I still don't understand to this day, King!
The turtle? Okay, I'll watch for the turtle.
Basically, a giant turtle is God.
Oh.
There's so much. It's weird. But, okay. So yeah, there's some group of kids called the Losers Club. It's like 7 different kids, are aware of Pennywise's existence. They team up as children to try to vanquish him. One of the kids, lost his little brother to Pennywise, so this is almost like a revenge for him. They don't know if they have fully killed Pennywise, so they're like, we have to make a blood pact right now. That if Pennywise comes back, we have to come back and finish this.
Oh, in 27 years.
In 27 years, if he does come back. 27 years later, when they're all adults, and only one of the kids that grew up still remains in there, Pennywise comes back. They're all called back, except for one of the former kids who commits suicide because he doesn't want to deal with Pennywise again.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
I mean that makes sense if you were that traumatized.
Well, if you were that traumatized, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an entire thing.
On a fun note about Pennywise, I used to teach baking classes at Joanne Fabrics.
Okay.
It connects, I promise.
Okay, don't worry, I'm listening to you full-heartedly.
And one of them was a cookie decorating a cookie decorating class where we would take frosting and like all this stuff. And so I would get sort of like these syllabi of different projects to do with the kids. And there was one where it was like, all right, you can like take this cookie and make it into like, I don't know, like a face, like a dog or a smiley face or something. And one kid did Pennywise.
I love this kid already.
Because I was like, because I said, yeah, follow your creativity. You're being creative. You don't have to follow the rules here. You can make a cookie that doesn't look like the one that's here. You can make it a different color if you want.
Was it the Tim Curry Pennywise?
He had the like red lines over his.
Okay, so it was the Bill Skarsgård version,
yeah.
the recent one. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Which makes more sense because this kid was like 9. And he was like, "Yeah, look, it's Pennywise." I was like, "Cool, man."
that clown gonna kill you.
Yeah. Anyway, but I thought it was funny.
And the thing is, like, and yeah, obviously, like they defeat Pennywise like at the end through all this like. All this mumbo jumbo with like ancient Native American rituals, otherworldly turtle gods, everything like that. That was mainly all in the book. But, like, my God, the Stephen King universe novels is... The King universe is just weird.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, yeah.
The freaking turtle. Every time with the goddamn turtle. But, enough of that. But a thing to note with it is that it had 2 live-action adaptations. Mm-hmm. A TV miniseries in 1990, and 2 full-length cinematic features in 2017 and 2019. And there's a lot of stuff that is related in terms with this film, and like, okay, so first let's talk about the 1990 version of it, because a lot of stuff happened out of that. First of all, Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. That's all you need that's all you really need to sell you on this series, because Tim Curry is a god among men.
Huh.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, then you better let the poor guy out! It gets me every single fucking time.
What the hell?
It's Tim Curry. He's doing what Tim Curry does.
I just looked up, I typed in, why the turtle in Stephen King's It. Apparently, the turtle's name is Maturin.
Okay.
A turtle of massive size with an ancient appearance, Maturin existed long before the creation of the mainstream universe in Stephen King's novels.
Yeah.
In It, Maturin seems to serve largely as a spectator to the events that unfolded in the battle between It and the Losers Club.
Mm-hmm.
It says that in this other entry on Esquire.com, Mataurin, who created the universe, he gives them information to defeat It using a psychic ritual. The turtle is Pennywise's universal opposite, according to Quora.com, where, as Pennywise is chaos and malevolent intent, the turtle, Maturin, is a force of kindness and benevolence. In short, Maturin is simply the polar opposite of It. The next question I found is Pennywise a turtle? It just says, okay, I'm so confused.
Yeah, this is what this does. Like I said, this novel is insane.
Yeah.
Like the original, if I remember correctly, the original it is over 1,000 pages long.
Yeah. Oh.
And not take and like the crazy, and like you take into account the crazy stuff with the fucking turtle. My God.
Have you read the Stephen King's Dark Tower series?
That is actually related to the Dark Tower universe.
Yeah. I'm reading the
I have not had the pleasure of reading the Dark Tower universe.
The turtle. The novel, it eventually reveals that its one true enemy is a giant, godlike cosmic turtle, a guardian figure who created the universe and who also appears in King's Dark Tower series.
Like I said. Just like I said. Mm-hmm. The God is a turtle.
Another question. Does Pennywise have a daughter?
How much cocaine? How much cocaine? But the Pennywise daughter thing was actually kind of a reference to a scene that happened in the Chapter 2 movie in 2019.
Uh-huh.
Because it showed like a non-makeup Pennywise in like a picture that was supposed to be like an illusion or some shit.
Ew.
Yeah, it was weird.
Ew.
It was weird.
It's like, I don't know, clowns without their makeup are kind of even more creepy. Like that one moment in The Dark Knight when Heath Ledger's Joker was just
makeupless
and he just had like his little scars and he was there and he just like you just see one little shot of him turning around and firing a gun and
yeah,
you're
it's
just
so
like,
good.
Just like
Yep.
So I was like, the Joker, he's naked. His face is naked.
Put the makeup back on. Take it away.
Oh,
but yeah,
he's like, I understand why you wear that. I guess.
But yeah, it's so much. But although movies, I do have to say, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for not including the damn Losers Club orgy scene from the novel.
Oh goodness!
Thank you.
The orgy.
No one needs that.
No one needs that.
No one needs that. For those that don't understand what I'm talking about, basically, like, near the end of, like, the children's time with it, after they originally defeat Pennywise, they can't find their way back out. So, because apparently they're all freaked out. So, to instill courage in them, apparently they all have an orgy 6 boys, 1 girl. There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack on that. And
was there like gay stuff also, or like?
There's 2 of them. Okay. Apparently, that is implied.
I was wondering. I was like,
Again, cocaine.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's probably the most uncomfortable thing that Stephen King has ever written down to just read. And I'm glad they decided to omit that from everything on screen.
No, thank you.
I'm like, okay, thank God. King, I hope you got help from this shit. Never do this again.
I hope you got help for this.
Never do this again. I'm kind of surprised the editors were not like, okay, King, back the hell up. What did you just write down on this page?
I like that.
What did you just write down on this page?
I'm writing down that quote. I hope you got help for this shit.
I'm not apologizing for this because it's just like, why? I think I broke Hannah, guys. But yeah, also another like the 1990s series has like a lot of things going on with it. One thing is like the number 27 is kind of an important number in relation to the story, both in the universe and outside. Yeah. Because in the universe, of course, Pennywise also wakes up every 27 years.
Right.
2 things related to the number 27 in the real world. The film adaptation of It that was that had Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise was released 27 years after the original TV adaptation.
What?
Yeah.
Yikes.
This is another thing that's kind of crazy. One of the kids that played one of the Losers Club as children, like the main one, Bill, died 13 years after the original TV miniseries at the age of 27.
Aw.
Yeah, that's creepypasta shit.
He was 27?
He was 27 when he died.
I'm 27.
For the love of God, don't you dare die on me.
I'm not planning on it.
Okay, good.
But if it happens, it happens.
I will make sure I pet cemetery this shit, damn it. Excuse my language, guys. I apologize.
You wouldn't happen to be a necromancer, would you?
I mean, I could try.
Yep. I've never tried it myself.
But anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little creepypasta thing about that. Also, another person who appeared in the original miniseries of It as a kid, Seth Green.
Okay, what else is he in? Because that sounds really familiar.
He's Chris from Family Guy.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the creators of Robot Chicken.
Okay.
He's Dr. Evil's son from the Austin Power movies.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
All that stuff. And yeah. And I gotta say, the 2017 and 2019 adaptations of It, they did really... They did a lot better adapting some of like the more nuanced stuff from the books. Like in horror aspects. Like, they made a really good horror film out of the first one.
Yeah.
The first chapter with the first It film with the kids was bliss. Second one was a little bit more of campy craziness, which was still pretty good. But you can't beat the stuff with, like, the kids, because it's basically feeding into childhood fears.
Yeah.
Manifesting itself in the form of a killer clown. Oh my god, a killer clown! A freaking killer clown!
Yeah, that's terrible.
So, yeah. It's probably one of the more effective ones.
Yeah.
I got another 2, in terms of Stephen King horror.
Yeah.
One I was talking about just a moment ago, Pet Sematary.
Oh.
There is a Stephen King film about necromancy, guys. My God.
Hell yeah.
So basically, apparently, the main point. There's a cemetery that if you bury a corpse in that cemetery, that corpse will come back to life.
Ooh.
Here's the thing. The soul that inhabits that body may not be the same soul that originally inhabited it.
Okay.
This causes a lot of crazy stuff as people around the main character that they love die, and they use it to bring it back to life. I think at one point, it's been so long since I've seen Pet Sematary, but apparently there are 3-year-old died at one point, so they buried him in the pet cemetery to bring him back, and then the kid comes back to life. All of a sudden, he's dressed in like a weird kind of Victorian Puritan outfit with a cane and everything like that, walking around like he's in Victorian London or some shit.
Oh my gosh.
It's weird.
This is like something out of The Boy.
Kind of. Pretty much. But yeah, like, I think that's like one of the good things, like crazy things with like some of the most effective Stephen King films. It takes a singular concept and just explodes into craziness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's ridiculous.
And, okay. And I think this next one is probably like another one of like King's most notable works. Carrie.
How could I forget? That was his first one, right?
I don't know if that was his first one, but it's one of the most notable stories, mainly because of the original film. Oh my god.
Don't watch that movie for the first time with your mom. It was really awkward to watch that movie with my mom.
What was it just because of like the mother-daughter interaction between them, or was it or was it with like the crazy weird Christian overtones that they did with it?
Both.
Okay, that's fair. That's more than fair. I asked that mainly because of you and her mom's like religious background. So.
Yeah.
Because I know that can be a touchy thing, especially when relating this to Carrie.
Yeah.
I've had a discussion with some very, very devout Christians and everything like that, and some of them were offended by that. And I'm like, I can understand. I'm
a little bit more like, I can understand things from both sides of something. Like, I can see that. I can understand the concept of somebody who is a religious fanatic, but is a bad person, even with their religiousness. But that doesn't mean that the religion itself is bad.
That's fair.
You know, like
Claude Frollo. Sorry, I was getting a flashback from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right? Yeah, like that. The what's his name? Yeah, Frollo from the Hunchback of Notre Dame is a horrible person who is a religious leader, and honestly, yeah, as a religious person, like, oh, it just makes me shudder. I'm just like, okay, just boot him out.
Just get rid of him.
Just get rid of him now.
Be gone.
And yeah, it's sort of like this. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So I can see that where I'm like, oh man, that mom. Yeah, she's doing some really questionable things and calling it like herself doing stuff in the name of God and because she's devoted to God and stuff. It's like, that is not an excuse. Just because you say that you prayed about it doesn't mean that you're right. It's so dumb. Anyway.
And the crazy thing is, like,
snap another pen in half here in a minute.
Sorry.
No.
But yeah, Carrie being this story about, like, it's like a weird, like, coming of age story taken in, like, such a strange twist. And the final act of the film, of the burning down at the pig's blood being dropped on her at prom and the burning down of the gym is is it weird that I find that moment satisfying?
No.
Just because I believe like most of them deserve it?
No.
Does that speak ill of me, guys that are listening? I apologize. But I don't know why, but for some reason, like, the way that scene is shot, and they use, like, the two screen cameras, like, at that time, when that was, like, a gimmick thing, but it actually works really well in this film. I'm just like, oh, my God, why?
Yeah. Whew.
It's a crazy story. From probably one of the craziest minds ever to live.
Yep. Oh, man.
Like, almost any crazy scenario you can think of, King has probably already, like, written it.
Yeah. Whew.
So, yeah, he deserves the title of Master of Horror, respectively. Like, he's done a lot of questionable stuff in his stories, but my God, are so many of his stories classics.
Yeah. And just, like, the way that he writes as well, it just describes stuff so well. It's like, it's not over the top or anything in the description of something. It's subtle enough to be creepy. Like, the best creepy stuff is subtle.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like horror and all that stuff, if it's just a sort of, the more blood comes spurting out of somebody's jugular, the funnier I find it, to be honest with you.
Right.
In a horror movie. In real life, it's not that great. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually one that I do want to talk about, that I just remembered. I'm like, oh my god, how did I forget this one? Gerald's Game.
Okay. I think you told me about this in episode 2.
Yeah, I have mentioned this in episode 2, and I said this is probably like one of my favorite recent adaptations of Stephen King. Mm-hmm. Because Gerald's Game is not an easy story to adapt.
Uh-huh.
What's
it about, chiefly?
So, basically, Gerald's Game, a wife and husband, go to a cabin.
I remember this. Ooh.
All right, you're getting flashbacks on this now?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh no.
Okay. So basically, they're trying to have like a romantic weekend away in a cabin in the woods, secluded from everyone else. During some kinky role play, where the wife is handcuffed to the bed, like to the bedpost, T-pose like this. Mm-hmm. The husband has a heart attack, falls on the floor, and dies.
Uh-huh.
And she is just handcuffed to the bed. No way to get out and to contact anyone outside. And that is basically just just how the movie portrays.
Oh my gosh. It's just like what's going on in.
And the thing is, like, the way they make the film is so strange, because with a book, with like a single person story, you can do more descriptions and everything like that in order to
like their thoughts and stuff. But in a movie, the thoughts are hard to.
Exactly, it's harder to do that because like. But the way they do it in the film is that she basically projects like imaginary versions of herself escaping or her husband's corpse coming back to life to interact with her and all this stuff, and she starts hallucinating all this stuff. Apparently a dog wanders into the house and starts eating the face of her husband's corpse.
Is that hallucination or did that actually happen?
It's hard to tell in a lot of different things like in the film, because like there's also apparently like a man that just wanders in there that just sees her and doesn't help her at all and everything like that. And then during like all of this, she has like some inner horrors of herself where she's bringing up all these repressed memories from childhood.
Oh.
Like one of like, I hate saying this, but her a molesting story from her original father or stepfather or something like that. It's yeah.
Good grief.
Like, it's an inner horror kind of thing that's brought about by like some of the most terrifying of circumstances.
It kind of reminds me of like those nightmares that you have sometimes where you can't move.
That's basically what it is.
Or you can't see. I have nightmares a lot where it's like, so I don't need glasses and I don't have glasses, but I often have dreams where I'm like running around and it's dark and I'm in the woods or something, or I'm in a creepy house, but my vision is all blurred, like I lost my glasses, and it's just like no matter how hard you try and see, you can't. Like I've had like blurry nightmares, like many of them.
I've lived those. There was a point in time back in like sometime after I graduated college that I contracted pink eye in both eyes.
Ooh. And
even with glasses or anything like that, my vision, I could not see anything for like maybe a straight month and a half while I was taking the medication for this.
Yeah.
It was bad. So I know that fear.
Yeah.
And that's basically what and honestly, it's that kind of like simplicity that like brought on this. It's like one of the most like simplistic things in the world. Like obviously it's like obviously it's something that could rarely happen. It's not something that obviously always happens, but it's like a random freak thing like that, and you're just alone and all this is happening, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, oh my God! And the guy who directed Gerald's Game also directed Dr. Sleep.
Okay, cool.
So the style is very similar. Mike Flanagan is one of my opinion, probably one of the best horror film directors today.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it's on, and I believe Gerald's Game is still on Netflix. If you guys want to go see it, it was a Netflix exclusive.
I might watch it today.
Definitely go watch it. It's amazing.
Oh man.
And the original novel was released in 1992.
Ooh, okay.
And the film adaptation was done in 2017.
Oh wow.
I think it's probably, my opinion, one of the most underappreciated like Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth the watch. Definitely worth the watch. I'm not going to spoil anything about like the ending just because I love this film so much.
To dream of something being blurry represents your feelings of uncertainty about something, a lack of clarity, confusion, not being totally sure what to think of a person or situation in waking life, not being able to form a solid opinion about something, feeling a need for more information before making a decision or coming to a conclusion. Yep, that makes sense. That's basically my state of being right there.
Yep.
Oh, man. That's fun to do sometimes. I don't really think that dreams don't necessarily like predict the future or something, but they can tell you a little bit about what your mind is, what's going on in your mind.
Fair enough. Funny. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to look. Okay, yeah. Bruce Greenwood and Carla Gugino were the two main actors in Gerald's Game. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like which ones they were. If you ever seen the Spy Kids films,
yeah.
The main woman who's playing in Gerald's Game is the mom from Spy Kids.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there you go. So yeah, definitely check out Gerald's Game. High recommendation for me, right up there with Misery, as like my opinion of like some of the best like film adaptations of Stephen King. Mike, I think I've pretty much run through like all the ones that I really love.
Oh man.
Like, good Lord. There's really nothing we can really say about like Stephen King stories, like in terms of like the horror ones that haven't really been said a million times already by millions of other people.
Oh man, I'm excited to go and watch one of these or read one of these books.
Like, in terms of like best watch, like I think Gerald's Game, and just from like a interesting storytelling standpoint, and Misery from a great suspense.
Yeah. So yeah, the ones that I've seen are The Shining, Dr. Sleep, Carrie, and Misery.
And as always, watching The Shining, like from watching the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is always a damn treat, just because the way it's the most unique horror film of all time. Mainly because of like the atmosphere, the way it's shot, everything is just so great. Unique.
It's just another reason why I can't look at a shower curtain the same way anymore.
Oh, the room 30. Oh, the room 317.
That nasty, wet, dripping old lady. Like, Grandma.
That scene haunts my nightmares to this damn day.
Oh, dude, I have seen it. I have for work. I have bathed the old. It is not a good sight. Oh yeah, oh my gosh. I've had other jobs too. I used to be a caregiver for the elderly, and now I prep them for burial, so...
Circle of life, they say.
Circle of life. So many old, naked people.
Oh my God.
Oh, the horror. The horror!
They're unmistakable horror!
Ah.
But, yeah. Stephen King, guys. If you haven't seen some of these movies or read some of these books, definitely go check them out. They're worth your time and investment.
Yeah.
If you've got time on your hands and want to sink your teeth into a book, or you want to see your eyes just witness some of these words leaping onto the screen. It's good stuff.
Oh, man. Yep, that's probably what I'm going to be doing this month, this Spooktober month.
Yeah.
I gotta write something, too, for VFR. I'm going to write something for the virtual Halloween kit that we're releasing. I'm trying to think of what I want to write about. I kind of have an idea, but I'm not quite sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this episode, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast, talking all about Stephen King's stories for this second edition of Spooktober 2020.
Oh!
Hell yeah. If you guys like what you listen to, make sure to follow us wherever we're found for podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, the Anime Rev Productions YouTube channel, all that good stuff. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at General Geekery on Instagram and at Gen Geek Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central at on twitch.tv/Loaded Dice Adventures. I play Petra, the Dragonborn Ranger Rogue. And you can find me on Splankniks, which is the podcast I do with my mom, where we talk about art, culture, tabletop gaming, all from the perspective of two different generations. You can also follow me on Instagram at PythianLegume. And if you're looking for more spooky stuff to do, you can always go on over to voicesfoundrep.com, take a look at our virtual Halloween party kit, and tune in to one of our live-streamed virtual performances of a new play by Farron Grimoire called They Call Me Dracula. It's going to be happening on the October 23rd, 24th, and 31st, Halloween itself, at 7 p.m., each of them. So, yeah, if you wanna watch a play from the comfort of your home, go ahead and go to Voices Found Rep at Twitch.
I was gonna say if that was gonna be on the Twitch channel for you guys.
Twitch.tv/Voices Found Repertory.
That's awesome. And as for me, guys, you guys can check me out on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. You guys can also find me on twitch.tv as well at RyuzakiMK7, where I play a bunch of different games. Most of them are RPG-based. Special for October, I'm doing a playthrough of Resident Evil 4 on, I believe, PlayStation 4 or PC, depending on how I set that up. By the time this episode comes out, I'll probably have already done a part of the playthrough of it, but I'm going to be shooting some zombies, monsters, creatures of the night, all that with my trusty shotgun. Yeah. All that good stuff. And you guys can check me out on another podcast venture called Tales from the Heliosphere, done by our good friend Andrew Kelly, who we had as a guest on the Tabletop Gaming episode of the podcast. This is created and narrated by him. I do several of the voices of the characters on there as well. You can go check out that podcast, Tales from the Heliosphere, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Definitely go check that out. So, as always, guys, thank you for joining in. This has been episode 50 of the General Geekery Podcast. We have reached episode 50.
Yeah, high five.
Woo! We did it!
Gosh, that was terrible. Do it again.
Woo! There we go.
Doesn't help that you're backlit and I can't see your hand coming at me. And
Sorry.
then you're half blind, so that was bound to...
No, I could see you if it was the backlit. I'm like, damn you, son! I should have closed the curtains. Oh, well. It's okay.
Oh, man. Oh.
Alright, hold on.
What's happening here?
I have to do this because we were talking about Stephen King. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the General Geekery Podcast. And yes, I'm doing this because of The Shining, damn it. Thank you for listening, guys. For Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski. Thank you for joining. As always, keep your spooks up. Keep a geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.
Midnight rendezvous. Your arms held a message tender, saying I surrender all my love to you. That hotel is haunted. Bye, guys.
Bye. That was great.
Thank you again for listening. Special thanks to The Twilight for this episode's intro and outro track, Self-Delete. You can check this song out in the description below, or, if you so desire, please follow The Twilight on soundcloud.com/The Twilight. Thank you again, and a happy Spooktober to you all.